serene, you know? I like my peace. But it's actually, there aren't a lot of people here today, and usually my forehead is blazing. The sun is like right in the sky. It's, I don't know, maybe around 3 o'clock, 3 something. I had to run some errands. I was gonna meet up with a friend, but I didn't have time, you know? It takes me a long ass time to get ready, Libra. We are at the end of Libra season. It is crazy. And I don't like saying goodbyes. I don't like saying goodbyes, especially when it's goodbye to Libra. Oh my god. But I wish you could see. Actually, I'll show you. Gorge. Oh my gosh. The retrograde was crazy. Started off nice and sweet. Cute, even. And then the middle got a little more complex. Then the end got a little bit reckless, you know. Some of you may have even found yourselves having to scale back communication. You know, delete that text that you were about to hit send on. Reword your responses. Maybe not even give responses at all, because you know how Libra is. And if Mercury is retrograde in Libra, definitely. It's been interesting because I feel like as a Libra myself, double, I'm always relating to everything and everyone. And what this retrograde sort of like had me working on was not responding to everything or everyone. And definitely when I was speaking, making sure that I was heard and understood. I was tired sometimes, but I didn't really find myself exhausted until the end, which was more recently because I was doing the most, as I usually do. You know, that's kind of like the norm for me, doing too much. But it was cool being able to go back home and visit family, you know, revisit those relationships. And speaking of relationships, like, I got to meet a lot of my sister and future brother-in-law's friends, you know, college friends and stuff like that, because they are engaged, they are getting married, they are having a baby, and their lives are kind of like on that upward trajectory. You know, things are going well for them, or they're just kind of like establishing themselves and their foundations in their lives, which is really cool. So there was that, you know, going back there. We had a baby shower, which there were a lot of people there actually. The day after my birthday, I will add. But we had the baby shower outside, underneath a sort of like gazebo kind of thing at a park in Atlanta, across the street from my middle school, the first school that I ever attended when I moved there. So that was, I don't know, a flashback, you know. So I was also relating to my past in that way, like the middle school version of myself, and how I've sort of, the trajectory that took me from Atlanta and brought me to New York and sent me, you know, around the world into all of these different places. Just kind of like revisiting those memories in my head. And seeing how my life has changed so much since then, and how it will change so much you know, in the next year or so. I mean, everyone's lives have changed, right? So we're relating to our realities in different ways. We have a new perspective, or our perspective has shifted due to the challenges that we have had to endure, and, you know, the stamina that we've had to display. And you know, it just gets you to thinking, got me to thinking how far I've come. And also the in between, like all of the people that I've met in between, like people that I have known and may not know anymore, people that I met a decade after that and still know a decade or two later. I don't know. What else? Oh, I saw some high school friends. That was fun. And we hung out. That's actually one of the videos. But that was great, you know, getting back in touch with them. Now, those were high school friends, not middle school. I don't really know anyone from middle school anymore, really. Only people from high school and college. So that was great. And just seeing the city and how much it has changed since I moved away 20 years ago. Well, nearly 20 years ago. In 2022, I will have lived in New York for 20 years. I moved here for college, of course. Oh, and you know what? I also had to renew my ID. Okay. And the last time that I renewed it, it was 2013? Maybe 2011. I'm lying. 2011, I think. And, or 2013, somewhere around there. And when I got the new one in the mail, I put the IDs side by side, and it looked like I aged backwards like years. It was really crazy, and I was kind of stunned. I was shocked, but I wasn't. You know, you gotta keep that regimen up. You gotta do that work. It pays off in the long run. But that was crazy. Just looking at that, that was very I wouldn't say like existential, but kind of, partially. I was just like, wow. But part of me has always known that I would evolve into this one day. I don't know. I didn't know that it would take a pandemic and wearing a mask for over a year, nearly 2 years, and not doing certain things over the pandemic would sort of push an evolutionary process, you know, into something that I thought and knew and felt that I would eventually see manifest, realize one day, someday, today. So relating in a very deep way. Also, Venus was in Scorpio around this time, or at the earlier start of the Mercury retrograde in Libra, and Venus was ruling the retrograde, so then it was in Scorpio. Putting some emphasis on healing. Definitely from past relationships. You know, they have different meaning, right? Because relationships will mean something different to you like 5 years, 10 years after you've experienced them, left them, right? I feel like that is kind of always the case because you learn and you grow and you mature. So the circumstances look different, I guess, right? It is what it is, you know, the situation is what it was, or it is what it is what it was. And but it does always change after the fact, especially if there are other people involved, you know, because they undergo these changes as well. They like grow or shift. mean, maybe there's a degradation with some people. I don't know. But, people that you maybe weren't fond of before you become okay with. Or people that you were okay with, you're maybe not as fond of anymore. Or maybe someone has learned something about you and that's changed the way that they see you now. So then they're learning from that, that experience that they had with you back then. When they were younger, your relationship was younger, you were younger. I don't know. Everything gets better with age, including, well, hopefully relationships do too. Or at least your understanding of what they meant for you and what you need from relationships moving forward. But it also forces you to realize what you need from yourself. Because Pluto definitely has a connection to Libra. And so does Mars, right? Mars is debilitated in Libra. But I feel like it's because it's showing you all of the things that you need to see about yourself as well. Just like Aries. Because you're looking at other people. And it's like, oh yeah, you know so much about other people. But how are those other people affecting you? You can tell situationally and use logic and reason to discuss, what results or consequences might come from something. But, what are you learning in the process? I don't know if that makes any sense, but, as a Libra, that's kind of like how I feel sometimes. You can read people's energy very, very well, but you never really know how it's going to affect you until you've had time with it. So then it challenges you to, overcome the enemy within sometimes. And that's kind of like who Pluto is, I think. But that's for the next full or new moon. For the next new moon. But the next full moon is going to be ruled by Venus. So that's cool. Anyway, I'm moving too far ahead when I'm already behind. Yeah, I don't know. And things can change at any moment. That's also another thing that Libra knows, and that we were being cautioned to, or prompted to acknowledge, right? To be cautious, be patient, try to waste as little time as possible. But if the goal is to spend time wasting time, then enjoy yourself. I may have already said that, and I could have said, and I may say it again. But I have taken a couple videos. I think I'm just gonna string them together. But what I don't like about stringing videos together with the iMovie, and I might have to do something. I'm gonna have to change the way that I am doing editing videos instead of using just iMovie, because I don't really like it. It doesn't really give you a lot of options. But maybe this new version does. It kind of clips the image and makes it smaller. It brings it in. It kind of centralizes everything to a certain point. I don't know. There's a little bit of tailoring. But this retrograde has been quite interesting, and I've enjoyed it. I did go back home. I traveled back home. And it was less dramatic the last time. The last time my sister was telling me a story about some stuff with her and someone, and as someone who's not in her life anymore, but what she was telling me made me pretty much almost faint. I almost fainted on her ass. I was so overwhelmed with the energy that she was presenting to me. that I just got super overheated. And also I have been traveling, and when I travel, I get dehydrated. I don't really sleep very well. My eating habits change drastically. So I have to like balance out again. Even when I go home, it's kind of like that. But the good thing is that I'm at home, so I'm comfortable. It's not like I'm nowhere or in some other random ass place. Yeah. But I'm back in New York, obviously. And things are moving right along. Today, Mercury is stationed, which is a very magical day. So focus your intention on what you want this next transit or next 4 months to be about for you. Since we've learned so much about others and ourselves during this time. Also, like what you've been kind of like putting on the back burner, you know, because Libra does represent like art. Definitely the artist. I feel like everyone should be interested in art in some kind of way. I mean, there's so many different forms of it. The moving image, the painted image, the scripted image, sculpted. Sounds. Art that you can hear. Symphonic. Visual arts. Performance art. And even crafting beautiful things that have artistic value. Right? Libra is artistic value. They're also innovators. You know, that's the energy of Libra. It's very innovative. Because you can change something all the time. Because in the aesthetic, think about how broad aesthetic is. We're an air sign. Think about how broad aesthetic is. You can be emo, you can be goth, you can be prep, you can be sporty, right? You can be black tie. You can be athleisure. You can be nude. Skin. Saturn. Aphrodite. Coming out of the sea. Also that too, because Venus is connected to the sea through Pisces. I mean, Aphrodite came out of the sea, right? Venus herself. So she is intuitive, and Libras are intuitive. One of the most, I would say. Ah, there's a cute French bulldog pup over there. Anyway, I think I'm gonna get ready to head out. I needed to kind of sit here for a moment because I came by the water and I just kind of walked by. And I was going to walk by the river and like exit out. Oh, there's a sailboat. But I decided to come back and stay a little bit longer because, you know, you always get more out of it when you stay longer, right? I mean, especially when you come to the park or like by the water. I don't want to just like come and go. Well, you know, one of Scorpio's ruling planets is very significantly placed in my first house. So, you know, I love when Scorpio season comes around. And also, that's still like where I am. And I think my progressed sun is actually in Scorpio. So bring it on. And I love that energy because I get to, you know. Anyway, I'm gonna get ready to go. I'm gonna grab my bag and head out, perhaps, to, I don't know, I'll do something before I go home.